In this video, we're going to solve an example based on superposition theorem. So here is the given question. There are three independent sources. So here he's asking about find Ix by using superposition theorem. Ix is the current supplied by the 100-volt source. Okay, so since there are three independent sources, we need to solve the circuit 3 times. So the first time we're going to keep one source and remove all other sources with their internal resistance. We know that voltage source has 0 internal resistance. That means short circuited, and current source has infinite internal resistance. So that means whenever we are replacing it, replace it with open circuit. So first I'm going to keep the 8 ampere source and replace the voltage source with short circuit. So here is our short circuit, another voltage source, 60 volt source, that's another short circuit. Okay, so here we have 60 ohm resistor, 30 ohm and 30, 50. Okay, our goal is finding the current in this short circuit branch. Okay, that's called Ix prime. Now the current is going to come over here, 8 ampere. For sure it's going to split in two paths because it sees 30 ohms there, 50 ohms here. Most probably more current is going to pass through this branch, less current is going to pass through this branch. Let me take this as I1 and I2. Now this I1 comes here and it sees 0 ohm resistance there, and then 60 ohm resistance there, 30 ohm resistance there. We know that the current always tries to take the lowest resistance path. More current is going to take the low resistance path. Hence, it sees the 0 ohm resistance. All the current is going to pass through this 0 ohm resistance path. So, none of the current is going to pass through the 30 and 60 ohm. Another way of saying it is, I can replace 30, 60. They are in parallel. That's 20 ohm. Now, this 20 ohm parallel with 0 ohm. So, your resistance is going to be 0 ohm. So, we'll end up with only this branch. We can ignore this part because none of the current is passing through that part. Okay, now the 8 ampere is going to come there. It's going to split I1 and I2. So here is my I1 equal to, which is negative Ix, because my I1 direction is opposite to the Ix direction or Ix prime direction. So negative Ix prime equal to I1 equal to total current multiplied with opposite resistance. I'm using the current division rule here. So current division rule is nothing but total current multiplied by opposite resistance divided by total resistance. So 50 divided by 50 plus 30, we end up finding that is 5 ampere. So Ix prime equal to negative 5 ampere. That means I'm assuming, so whenever you see this negative, that indicates that I'm assuming Ix prime is leaving this source, but Ix prime is going into the source there. So that's our first step. Second step, or second part 2, I'm going to leave the 100 volt source and short circuit the 60 volt source and open circuit the current source. Okay, I'm just replacing all other independent sources with their internal resistance. If there is a dependent source, I'm going to keep the dependent source as it is. So here, now I can clearly see, now I'm going to call this current as Ix double prime. Okay, now I can clearly see these two are in series, parallel, 60 parallel with 30, which is 20 ohm. And in the same way, this 30 and 50, they are in series because none of the current is passing through this current, this open branch. Okay, so that's 80 ohms. Now here I have 80 ohms and 20 ohms. I'm going to call this as Ix double prime. So these three elements are in parallel basically. So if you see, I can read the circuit as, I'm just interchanging those 80 ohm resistor and the voltage source, or I'm pulling this to here. Okay, now you can clearly see 80 parallel with 20, which is 16 ohms. Now Ix double prime equal to 100 over 16, that's 6.25 ampere. So Ix prime and the current, we end up with a positive number. That means our assumption is right. Ix prime is going out of that source. Now, step 3 or part 3, I'm going to keep the 60 volt source here and replace all other independent sources with their internal resistance. So here I'm replacing current source with the open circuit and replacing voltage source with the short circuit. Now I'm going to call this as Ix triple prime. Okay, now here also same, whatever current come in here, say I ampere, I is going to come over there, and it will see 60 ohm and 0 ohm and 80 ohm. Okay, so all the current is going to go through the 0 ohm because it's a short circuit. None of the current is going to pass through 60 ohm or this 80 ohm. Okay, another way of saying 80 ohm and 0 ohm, 60 ohm are parallel, so the resultant resistance is going to be 0. So here, so if I simplify the circuit, I will end up with only 30 ohm resistor in the circuit because the 60 and 80, they're not, none of the current is passing through them because they are parallel with the short circuit. So my Ix triple prime equal to negative 2 ampere. Ix triple prime equal to negative 2 ampere. So what is the total current flowing in the circuit? Ix equal to Ix prime, Ix double prime plus Ix triple prime. So Ix prime is minus 5 ampere, Ix double prime is positive 6.25 ampere, triple prime is negative 2 ampere. So it says negative 0.75 ampere. That indicates that voltage source is consuming energy. So we end up finding this Ix prime equal to negative 0.75 ampere. That indicates that the real current is flowing into the source. That indicates that source is recharging instead of supplying energy. Okay, I will stop this video here. In the next video I will solve a couple of more examples. Thank you.